Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2023. I hope everyone is well. I wanted to come on and say hello and see what practice resolutions maybe you've had. You've got some New Year's resolutions. And also say thank you for all the wonderful comments and likes on the picture of the award. It was such an honor to be down at the conference. And be recognized by peers and colleagues there from Moasta. It was really fantastic. It's a very, as everyone said, it's a very humbling experience, and there's really no words. So I'll probably stop right there. It was incredible, and I'm so sincerely thankful for that honor. It was amazing. So the topic here for today is learning online. If you have questions, this is also, I hope that there'll be some questions out there that I can answer. I would absolutely love to answer questions. I like answering your questions. But if you've made some New Year's resolutions about cello, you're going to practice more, you're going to learn this piece, whatever, how can you use online, all of these online resources here? How can you use YouTube and all of the technology at your disposal to improve your playing? Like, what does it really take to come on here and get better? Well, remember, it's never a one and done, okay? And I think I put I did put a post on the community tab about disruption. You really have to hit the stuff from different angles. And so I hope that you'll watch the videos on the Cello Online channel. But I also hope that you'll watch videos of other cello creators, because my primary goal, my primary concern is to see you all get better at the cello, for you to achieve your goals on the cello, whatever they may be. And our brains just do better when we hear it from more than one source. Grade 4. Oh, this is a wonderful question. Any tips on doing grade 4? You mean, like, are you a cellist playing a grade 4 orchestra piece, or are you a teacher programming a grade 4 orchestra piece? Is this a solo piece? That's a fantastic question. Give me a couple of more details, and I would love that. Usually with a grade 4, as things get more well, the first thing actually that comes to mind, something very important that I as a teacher have learned about the grading system when it comes to how things are graded in orchestra in string playing. Because I used to hear this comment, well, it's an easier grade 2 or it's an easier grade 3. And what they're looking at when they say that is they're just looking at the notes themselves. Maybe it's all in first position, or maybe it's all in, or maybe it's not a very fast piece. The example that comes to mind is the Cianicchi Little Fugue, okay? And, oh great, you play the cello, awesome. So what you have to realize is that the reason it's a grade 2 and not a grade 1 is that it's a fugue, right? There's that part of it. It's the interplay between the different notes, okay? So the first thing that comes to mind when you're playing a more advanced piece is, how does your part interact with the other parts? Because that gets more complex, more challenging. So it becomes more imperative upon you to understand how the other parts work. So, for example, how many recordings can I find of this piece? Now, is this a solo piece or an orchestra piece? Let me know that as well. There are so many score play videos on YouTube. I think now publishers are putting them out automatically. Maybe it's an older one. You won't find the score play. But there are many where you can, it's just, you don't even have to go and find the score anywhere. It's right here on YouTube where you are. You go, you find the score, you listen to it, and you can see all of the parts and listen to it. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think, something that is advanced like that, like in a grade 4, is how does my part fit in with the other parts? Now, the next thing that comes to mind for a grade 4 is that there's probably some really fast stuff in there. And so how do I practice fast passages? I think I have a video about that. I should have a video about that. I will double check, Jacques. If I don't have a specific video about practicing fast passages, I'm pretty sure I do. But, you have to go through all of the the litany of things. Let me pull one up right fast here, actually. My glasses on. I was just playing Vivaldi Summer with my wife yesterday. We do a little duet. We've turned into a duet, because the continuo is so great. And for example, in these scales, I'm just going to get it up here since we're talking about advanced music here. All of these scale passages here that I have to learn, all right, in order to play this thing. All right, for example here, the first one. Anytime you have something fast, all right, the little D minor scale that goes there. What are all the things that we do to play fast things? The rhythms, okay? All right, and then I want to reverse it. Fast, slow, slow, fast, slow, fast. And that's really, really important. Just going slow. Me and my wife were just talking about this just earlier today, about slow practice and why some students struggle with it. The number one reason that slow practice, doesn't work for someone, I think, is that you're not keeping in mind the end goal, all right? I always say slow version. This is the most important part of practicing slow. Slow version. Like, am I keeping all the music intact? I can't, if I want to learn this scale and I want to practice it slow, I can't go like this. Right? All right. I'm not keeping, that's not Vivaldi Summer. All right. If I want to practice it slow and also teach this right hand to go fast and be able to get to the final product at the end, I have to go. Slowly with the metronome, forte. If it's even a little bit slowed down, I say ignore the dynamics. Okay, it doesn't matter what the dynamic is. You're trying to teach yourself coordination, and you can always take the volume down later anyway. All right, so I hope that helps there with the grade 4. I may think of a couple more here, but those are the two biggies that you run into. And of course, last thing might be that it has a more advanced or complex key signature, which of course you need to practice scales. Like if it's in B flat or E flat or G minor or something like that, make sure you're warming up with those scales, practicing those scales in order to learn those pieces. All right, so Jacques, and also speaking of learning in 2023, what you're doing right here, taking the time to come on and ask a question and hear an answer. This is exactly what you need to do in 2023 to help with learning this stuff online. Oh, I got another question. How can you get a clean sound always? Because every time I play, I get a different sound. Oh, this is a wonderful question. Yeah, we struggle with the tone, right? We're trying to get more consistent with the tone, and how can we get more consistent? Well, the first thing. And maybe Yusuf, tell me maybe how long you've been playing or kind of what you're working on so I can tailor this answer a little bit better. But just in general, the first things that you want to focus on are some of the physical things and some of the things that you can see, right? So sometimes when the sound is going, a little screwy, of course, check the tension on your bow hair. Do I have enough tension? Is my bow rosined? Is my bow hair old? All that basic stuff. And then as I'm looking at my bow, one of the things we focus on is, is my bow, we say, parallel to the bridge. Okay, 4 months, awesome. Okay, parallel to the bridge or perpendicular to the string. Okay. Sometimes the perpendicular to the string here can be difficult. And I want to say about bowing straight, because this is a big part of getting a good tone, getting a nice, clean, consistent tone, is that one of the silver linings of everything in the pandemic and being online and looking at the screen is that the camera on a device, excuse me, is actually a little bit better than a mirror. I mean, a mirror is wonderful because it's there on the wall. You just sit down, you start practicing. There's no gadgets or electronics to fool with. But because the camera's angled down a little bit, and our cello is angled this way, right? It's not straight up and down, it's not flat. And so there's always a little bit of an optical illusion when you're practicing in front of a mirror. if you practice with a device like this, like I can see myself, you know, on the stream here, I can see even better, boy, when my bow is going crooked on the G, and then here's the D. You can really see when it's straight or not, and then on the A, whoa, okay, I was about to hit my microphone. Now, part 2 of that, of bowing straight, and this is just always the thing that comes to mind when we're talking about clean tone, and, you know, if you've only been playing for 4 months, is that, remember, we're on this orbit, all right? And I did make a video about this, about using the hula hoop. Remember, we go up and out and back and in. When I'm on the C string, my hand is close to my body. When I'm on the A string, you know, out here, my hand is farther away from my body. I think when we're first starting, we tend to, you know, naturally go straight up and down like this, right? Or go straight out, all right? We're doing kind of both on this orbit. That's why I love to get the hula hoop out with beginners and show them how the hand travels around the cello. The other thing is, with the cello, is that you have to get a lot of arm weight into the bow to get a nice, clean, consistent sound. I did make a video recently about, you know, putting a practice mute here on the bridge. This is one thing, because, you know, when you're getting used to the sound, it can be kind of loud. Depends on also what kind of room you're practicing in. If you're practicing in like a room with wooden floors and it's a very live room and very reverberant, it's going to give you the illusion that you're playing very loud, and so you're going to lighten up on the bow, causing you to kind of get, you know, a scratchy sound or an inconsistent sound. You know, try to practice in a room that doesn't reverberate so much, maybe that has a carpet in it. You know, this is the reason I put up all these sound treatments here in the studio, so that I really get a realistic sound of the cello, so I can hear everything that I need to hear. And of course, bow hold, right? Maybe I should have mentioned that first. I mean, none of these things are in any particular order. It's just all the things that come to mind. I'm thinking, like, you know, when we're talking about sound, you know, arm weight actually probably might be the biggest, then the bow direction. But of course, your bow hold, right? If your hand is not on the bow correctly, all right, if you're holding it like this, or the hand's falling down, or going like all over the place, the sound is not going to be consistent, right? And so how do you work on that? Well, this is one of the reasons I started posting the practice timers and talking about practicing with a timer. If you're struggling with bow hold, or you're struggling with anything that's physical, set a timer. Say, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to work on this for like 1 minute, or 2 minutes, or whatever, all right? And you're going to focus, and you're going to say, I'm going to get from the beginning of the piece to the end of the piece with a great bow hold, okay? Oh, the neighbors. Yusuf, let us know where you are in the world. I'd be curious to know. So I hope that answers your question. Just some of the basic stuff. And as you try these things, most important thing, as you try these different things, focusing on the bow hold, focusing on keeping a straight bow, getting that arm weight into the bow, make sure you record yourself, okay? You know, when you record yourself, then you become the third-party observer, right? And you can see, you get a really clear picture of if the sound improved or not, all right? Is what I'm doing changing the sound? Because our sound is down here, right? And it's going out away from us. And so it can be very, very hard for us to know in the beginning, exactly what it sounds like and what it's doing. I should have brought some water here to the live stream. So I hope that helps. From Turkey. Awesome. Yeah, we've had, lots of experience with neighbors, and my wife, of course, has a few few neighbor stories from doing violin in Russia. She was just telling one last night. Anyway, you have to go over to her channel and find that out. I'll leave that one to her. She's a violinist. What other questions? These are great questions. This is like the stuff that everybody struggles with, that they're working on. How can I get a clean sound? How can I work on an advanced piece? This is awesome. while you're thinking about it out there, I'll just reiterate something I said, because I'm going to have to stop here in a minute. When it comes to learning online, you know, am I using all the tools, you know, in my toolbox that I have? All right. And if you're here watching, you're on some kind of device. You're on your phone, you're on a computer. You've got to record yourself. You got to record yourself. You got to try these things out. You have to do a lot of listening. Okay. You have to come on and watch. You have to come on and listen. You have to come on and play along. And then you have to record yourself and listen back. But of course, you know, how do you know what you're listening for? You know, how do you know what you're listening for? It comes from the experience of listening to others play it. And I do have, one of my New Year's resolutions for the channel is to have more, you know, more recordings, you know, especially of the Suzuki pieces to play along to. Okay. And if you guys if you have requests, you can leave comments on other videos, you know, other orchestra pieces or things or tutorials are on here. If you have requests of things that you want to see on the channel, I love looking at those requests and doing them as much as possible. But you got to go on and you got to do a lot of listening so that when you do record yourself and you listen back, you have a better understanding of what went wrong and what went right. Okay. And make sure that you are saying what went right. Okay. Don't just say it's all bad. There's nothing intelligent about that. There's nothing impressive about that. You got to say what's good about it so that you can do more of that in the future. Okay. All right. I'm interested in learning the cello, but as a pianist guitarist, the thought of fretless, possibly microtonal instrument kind of scares me. Do you have any tips about that? Yes. And I'll answer both of these quickly. It says the next question was, could you address the string crossings, avoiding hitting extra strings? I do have videos on the channel here about that. It's so great that we had lots of questions here. I will make sure I make this a regular thing so I can come back and answer these questions. But there is a video about string crossings and other strings. About the intonation and starting a fretless instrument. Of course, a lot of people start with tapes on. It's not a hard and fast rule that you have to start with tapes. It kind of goes back to what I just said about the listening. You know, you have to go on and you have to listen. You have to go on and play along, all right? The brain is an amazing thing, and something I haven't talked enough about on the channel is my passion and my devotion to this idea of musical listening, which I talk about on another channel. But, you know, how does the emotion of music, how does the sound, you know, infuse with what we call technique? Because I don't think that music and technique are actually all that separate. I think they're more intertwined, because a lot of times we talk about technique, and then we talk about layering the emotional part of music on top. And I don't know that actually that's the best way to talk about it. I think more music is the fuel, okay, and I'm getting to your question there, Dolev, that actually creates the technique. It's not that the technique serves the music. I think they serve each other equally, actually. So, and I say that because, you know, if you have a good understanding of what you're listening to, and if you play piano and you play guitar, and you already have an understanding of music, and I find that pianists always have the easiest time with intonation because they've, you know, pianos usually, hopefully, especially if it's an electric piano, is in tune. And so, you know, it's difficult to play a piano out of tune unless it's just already out of tune itself, right? So you already have a good sense of what is in tune, right? What is tonal. And so when you sit down to play an instrument like this, you instantly know if something is out of tune. If you've played a quarter tone or something, and that's the key, that's the basic key is, did you notice if it was out of tune? Did you notice if it was flat or sharp or, you know, like you said, microtonal sound? If you don't have that background in piano, or you're not listening to recordings, or you're not playing along to recordings, you probably won't notice, okay? And maybe ignorance is bliss. So I wouldn't worry about being scared, because I don't think there's going to be any scare either way. Either you're going to notice it and you're going to fix it, or you might not notice it at all. So anyway, it's kind of an interesting twist there. But, you know, do a lot of listening. Of course, you can practice along to a tuner. I have a video about that on the channel here about practicing to a drone pitch and how that can help your intonation. And then after you've, done it for a little while, of course, it's a process. You have to be patient. It takes time. Probably the final ingredient to playing in tune is confidence. Just having some confidence that you've done it and you know how it goes. So, there's some videos on the channel about that as well. All right. I have to cut it off there. This was awesome. I'm so glad you guys were here with questions. My son is playing in an honors recital. He got a superior rating at a Sonatina festival yesterday. We're so proud of him. But I have to hit the road and head to hear that recital because, of course, I'm in charge of video recording it. Shocker, I know. But warm-up. Jacques, I will try to answer that question in a video. I just realized I do not have a video about warm-ups. I don't have one. So thank you for the question, and I will work on that. Don't let me forget. Hold me to it. I don't know why I've never done a video about warm-ups. I warm up. I love to warm up with double stops. I said I have to go, but then this is such an interesting question now. I love, I do have a video on the channel about using double stops to improve your intonation or playing scales in double stops. And double stops are really great because they set the hand, all right? I can't be in a bad position and play a double stop or play a chord. And so I guess, and I just love the way the chords sound, and so it's usually the first thing I play when I pick up my cello and I sit down. I just kind of, because is my cello in tune? Is my hand set? Double stops are great to play, and that's, I'll maybe do some scales. Or maybe do a slower, easier piece that I know, or something that I'm working on. Maybe it's like I have a student who's working on Arioso right now, so I might warm up with that. Don't have it memorized. It's a great piece to warm up with because that's lots of shifting. It's got string crosses, it's got everything, and I'm not moving too fast. I'm not going to injure myself while I'm doing it. So, but yeah, I'll still make a video about it because I don't have one of those. All right, thank you all so much. This is wonderful. I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking about cello, and I will make sure, because you guys are so awesome to show up today, I will make sure that we make this a regular thing in 2023. All right, take care. Have a great week.